Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still here after all these years, after all these tears I shed. I'm still here and I'm walking this earth like I should be. There was days that I didn't know if I would be. Yeah, yeah. Now I stand tall with my feet in the ground and my head in the clouds. 'Cause I'm still here like I should be. Yeah, yeah, like I knew that I could be. Here we go, here we go. I'm still here. I'm here.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
How's it going?
Good. How's it going?
Good.
Good.
We got to spend the weekend with our grand puppy.
That was pretty good.
He's pretty cute.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice to have Sydney around and Adam around too, but he's definitely fun. So.
Yeah, that was fun.
All right. Well, it feels like a lot of people on Instagram have been going to appointments lately, which I know is part of life as somebody living with cancer. But I thought maybe we could do 10 ways to make the most of appointments.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think sometimes there's a lot of buildup and then a lot of letdown. And, you know, we don't get always a lot of opportunity to talk with our doctors, and it's important. So,
Yeah. In this one, these 10 somewhat can be altered depending on if this is your first appointment with your
for
oncologist compared to a yearly checkup or how far you are. All of this stuff matters on a couple of these, yeah.
yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, of course, I feel like if you're just getting in with the doctor, then it's an interview process back and forth.
Yeah.
You don't have to take what you get. Like, there should be a relationship that comes out of that. It doesn't have to be immediate. And sometimes, like, I feel like I work with doctors who I might not be, like, as personally, like, we don't jive as quickly, but I know they're really good at what they do, right? But there still needs to be a little bit of, you know, one, there needs to be trust first. But there also needs to be a willingness to have a relationship that benefits both of you, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
Yeah, because medicine is not one size fits all. So it has to go both ways.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
And medicine's not just about the medicine, right?
Nope.
It's about a lot of things. So, All right. Well, the first tip is to write down questions ahead of time. Even like keeping an ongoing note in your phone type of thing. It is really hard to be in a room and be like put on the spot. Like, what was I going to ask? You know what I mean? So just, again, always thinking about, oh, you know, that's something I've been thinking about a lot. Should I consider bringing that up, sort of thing?
Yeah.
And along with that, number 2 kind of goes with number 2. The other thing is that you could also consider sending them in your portal. It's not like your doctor should have to have, you know, reviewed everything and come in with all of the answers. But sometimes I think a little preparation can be helpful too, right?
Especially just the basic factual things you're wondering. I
Yeah.
think that's okay to do that, put
Yeah.
that in there. If it's anything you're going to discuss or there's not a cut and dry answer to, don't put that in that's not what the portal is.
No.
I mean, I guess prep time for them is fine, but
yeah, and you could say, I'd like to discuss family planning or whatever,
right.
that kind of thing. These are the things I'm thinking about, you know, just so that they might have an opportunity to have a more prepared answer. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is you get to control the conversation. And I say this because I have been in appointments. It still happens to me because I have different, you know, medical MAs or different nurse practitioners or whatever at times who come in and they kind of just start doing what they always do, which is generally like reviewing. For me, it's reviewing scans. And I'm always like, oh, stop. I don't want to hear all that stuff. I don't want to hear where the places are that they're talking about. I want to go to the bottom and here's stable, right?
Yep.
So, but it might feel rude, but you get to do that. You can say,
Yeah, I mean, I think there's rude ways to do that.
Sure.
And I think you are so practiced at it now that you even anticipate it coming. So it is oh, no, hold on. We're just not going to do that. I don't do that. So,
yeah.
It's not rude at all.
Or even if you don't, you don't even have to. I'll sometimes say, like, we don't have to talk about this at all. I'll just talk about it with Dr. Meriver.
Yeah, right.
I don't, Then, yeah. But there is, you get to be in charge of that. So, and you can tell them why or not. It's up to you.
It's the same thing with just being an overall comfort level of your appointment, too. I mean, you get to decide a lot of that stuff. If you're just not comfortable with whatever, voice it. You don't have to just do what they want you to do.
Right. Well,
there's ways around stuff.
Number 4 kind of goes along with that, which is don't ask questions you don't want the answers to. So I feel like sometimes we feel like because we're trying to gather all the information, or we feel like that's what a responsible person does, we should say things like, how much time do I have?
That's the one.
Or, and we all know that that's just a estimation, a guess, and we know how our brains work in terms of sometimes living up to expectations. I just feel like it's better if that stuff is not put on the table in the same way.
I agree. And if you have a relationship with your doctor, they're going to know that.
Yep. Yeah.
They're already going to know that.
Yeah. And I think a lot of doctors would honestly, it's not like they can't wait to tell you alarming statistics. I think that if we could change the way that we're having these conversations in general, it would be better for everyone. So.
And I think there are people out there, well, I know there are people out there that absolutely do want all the facts straight up.
Yeah.
Whether, I don't know whether they can handle them or not. I'm not saying the result of that. But they truly do want every piece of information flat out. For what reason, I don't know. And neither of our brains work that way. But they do exist. Those people exist.
I agree.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be the majority.
No.
I think that's what I'm trying to say too, is just that there is another way. And certainly you're not irresponsible by not asking some questions. It's not like in fact, you could be helping the way that you live, not hurting it.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
All right. Number 5 is talk about quality of life. There might be solutions. And in this, I just mean, I feel like sometimes, especially with a disease like cancer, it's like, I really am tired all the time. And your doctor might go, oh, well, are you on this? Or we could change this. Or, let
me look at your labs again.
Let me look at your labs, exactly. Or, man, maybe a transfusion or what. Some of those things are really pretty quick fixes.
Especially if you are the non-whiner type.
Yeah.
The type of person in your family that you're not allowed to whine because you're holding down everything.
Yeah. Or abnormal pain or things that are, that just keep coming up. You need to talk about that. Work, work they need to know about that. There's, doctors are able to help with disability, and if they don't know, they can't help. So,
and it's not even just the side effects of medicine, say you're taking or anything. It can just be quality of life.
Absolutely.
Stuff. It can have nothing. I don't want to say nothing to do with the cancer because inevitably everything has everything to do with cancer. But it can be a part of your life that you didn't even know was fixable because you don't have a medical degree, and they can do something for you, or like in some what we experience. I mean, there can be a backing by your medical professional to help you on the social side or the work side.
Yes.
To lessen some requirements you might have, or I'm trying to be vague here on purpose, and this is not going well. But I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It can be a lot of different things. I think a lot of just people feel when they're in with their oncologist,
it should only be about the cancer. We're talking about the medicines and the treatment.
Right.
But quality of life is always an important thing, right? So, and cancer adds a component to that, which it infiltrates almost every aspect of your life. So because of that, it is like, okay, what are the aspects that are being affected, and how can we, find solutions, or maybe we just need to acknowledge and give more time,
or back off of medicine.
Exactly. A lot of things, even just hearing sometimes from a medical professional that, you need more rest. It's like, it's like we need somebody sometimes to give us permission. Your body is working really hard when you're in treatment, especially, and we gotta work with it. And sometimes that means not pushing as hard. So, all right, number 6, consider the timing of the visit. We've talked about this in terms of like time of year. It's been, again, we just had Easter, celebrated Easter here. But people sometimes are doing these tests and scans right around times that there's going to be family gatherings, and it just adds a whole nother component that's really a challenge. And I just kind of advocate for not doing that if you can. I would say even people who are on cycles where they're testing every 3 months, there's a little wiggle room in there. Look at that kind of thing, or talk about it on a bigger future, like how to get to the place you want to be, so you're not testing right at scans or right at like holidays or family gatherings. The other thing I would say is like timing of the day. I don't know about like where you guys go, but morning, you tend to get in faster in the morning. Like the day just keeps snowballing, it feels like, especially at big universities. So if you're, if getting there in the morning is terrible for you, then in the afternoon works better. Just know you might be waiting, just know what to expect. Eat if you can eat, all of those kind of things. Consider, you don't want to be sitting in the waiting room fuming about, all of it.
About not getting in.
What's
going on. We were pretty good from the get-go about realizing that if she was an hour late for our appointment, it wasn't because she was taking an extra hour for lunch. She was squeezing somebody in just like she squeezed us in at the very beginning.
Exactly.
And there's somebody, I don't want to say more important, but more important than you.
Yeah.
In your situation, comparably,
yeah.
They didn't just do that.
Yeah.
They did that because it was medically necessary. And to keep that in mind, now, there are other situations where we haven't been real happy because of, and it wasn't that way. It was something else causing it.
Yeah.
But 90% of the time,
and even just realizing things for us, like our drive, when we go there, like there's a stretch of road that just has a lot of, what am I thinking? A lot of traffic, especially for commuting. And so it's like, no, we're not going to try to get there at 8:00 in the morning. It just doesn't work that well. I mean, you can do it, but you have to, So if you go at 9, you can avoid all that.
Yeah.
So the more you know about that stuff. And honestly, again, I do feel like sometimes those are, when somebody says, your appointment's at 8, or can you come at 8? You can also say, do you have 9?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times they'll say yes. So just look at that. Number 7 is bring the right person.
And this is one of them that I was getting to. The right person can be different people depending on the appointment.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If you're doing a test or a scan where you're going to go and get an injection and then then you have 3 hours to kill, you know, like that can be a different, bring a friend who wants to go shopping.
And you're not getting results those days
and
or something.
Yes, exactly.
Versus, early on, obviously you want that person there that you're sharing everything with, and that's going to be part of decision-making processes or part of researching for you, or just that consoling person.
Yeah, that person
be.
To help you absorb the news, whatever it looks like. Yeah,
that is way different. Even that, because that didn't change for us even a year out, 2 years out, 3 years out, 4 years out. Every scan or whatever, the appointment after that, I wasn't going to miss that because we were still like.
No, we were scared, for a
long time, and there was some progression in there, which again puts you on edge. And what is it bad, or is it But there were a lot of appointments that you'd have probably rather have somebody else there. I mean, for the burning 3 hours and talking to somebody. That's, a lot of, it's a best friend. It's a, that kind of thing. It's a, somebody you haven't seen in a while, maybe. And
even sometimes now I'll go down by myself because there are people in Ann Arbor I want to hang out with. Right. So it's like, I'm going to get lunch with somebody or do that or whatever. So, yeah. Number 8 is wear the right clothes. We've talked about this for scans a little bit. A lot of times they'll have you change into a gown, but if you don't wear anything that has metal on it, then you can probably avoid the gown, depending, on the scan. But for most of them, they're just looking, they can't have metal. Mm-hmm. So just know what you need.
They're not going to tell you can, though.
No, they're not going to tell you that, exactly.
You need to advocate for yourself and say, is it all right? I don't have any metal on this. Is it all right if I just wear this? Yeah. And they're going to look at you funny and go, maybe.
I guess.
That person really oftentimes doesn't make all the decisions right then. But they'll go ask somebody and then come back and go, I guess you can. Yeah.
So, and then, of course, you need to consider whether or not you have to access a line or a port or, roll up your sleeves. I don't know about you, but hospitals are always cold. So even in the summer, I'm definitely going to bring a sweatshirt or something in with me. I like to do shoes a lot of times that just slip on and off, especially if you're going to, have them do your weight and all that.
Or changing into a gown, is that a pain in the butt based on what you're wearing, or easy, getting out of those and that kind of stuff can be a factor? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, but a lot of things are for convenience for them, not for you, but there are ways around them. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Number 9 is about timing. Have results in, so so that you can talk about them. We have been in situations in the past where, like, I had maybe done scans or something that weren't back right away, and it'd be like, or maybe sometimes we were having a scan that day, and sometimes it feels like you have an appointment where it's really like, we got nothing.
How you doing?
So I think the timing of scans is important because you don't want them so early. I do hate hospitals that say, like, you need to do them 2 or 3 weeks early. I think that's ridiculous. And especially with scanxiety, it's just way too long to wait, but know what your system is. For me, it's a week. I do it a week ahead of time. And it's always in there by then. So.
And here's where we get back into our portal views.
Yes.
So...
Yep.
In my opinion, you can't be a portal watcher in that week.
Yeah.
It's the wrong week. It really is. I think the portal's great for, let me look back at, see what that kind of thing's great because you've already seen your oncologist and talk. I think the portal is a good thing. I actually went back and looked for something a while back. With me, but I don't think, especially if you're in treatment or those kind of scans versus shortly after, that 2 weeks or a week of staring at that, wondering what that means is just not good for your
mental health.
Yeah,
it's really hard. I mean, waiting for that, or a lot of times you'll get the you have a new result or something. It's like, oh geez, turn off the notifications.
Mm-hmm.
Do it.
Yeah, I just and sometimes you may be going to a place where this is your second or third time, and you're going to get there, and your oncologist or whoever is going to order a scan. Recommend it to them early.
Yeah.
Do you want me to get this done before I come in?
Yes.
That kind of thing can give you a nice peace of mind where it's not after and then they're calling or maybe even asking you to come back down or something like that. That's my doctor's office every time I go in. Yeah. Every single time for my yearly. I go in and they go, well, let's get some tests done.
I know.
What the hell am I here for?
Right.
So you can listen to my heart. Cool.
Yeah.
So I asked, am I still getting the same blood tests and before I go?
Yeah, and if you have a place where you can get labs that's close by and easy, so your labs are in even. I mean, that's great, especially if you're following tumor markers or whatever. Do that. And then number 10 is just kind of be the captain. And what I mean by that is that, like, you get to have a say in how all of this goes. But I think it's important to talk with the people, the healthcare providers, the doctor, to say, this is what I want to be a part of this. I respect and trust what you're doing. I want to be also doing something. And, I'm recognizing that I spend some time here, but I spend a lot of time other places. And, and just talking to them about, what you want and what you want a future to look like. And all of those things I think are really important.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and I mean, in the end, you are 100% in charge of everything that happens to you.
Yeah.
You get to say. Now, when we go back to that trust thing and trusting your oncologist and do it, maybe I can't think of a time, maybe you can, but where we were like, I don't think so. Whatever you're recommending, I don't think so. There's certainly been discussions about whether we go on to this or this one, and those are discussions. I'm saying, when they recommended something, we weren't like, no, because the captain, in this case, you have given authority to that. You put that trust there.
I would agree with that, but I think there have been, twice now I have said, or maybe you the first time said, can we do a biopsy of that spot?
Oh, yeah.
And then we did it again, and both times it led us to really...
Especially the second time we were pretty adamant about it.
Well, because the first time...
It caused so much angst in...
And it ended up not being cancerous. So, it is a little bit of like, okay, no, is the reward worth it? And is it worth bringing up some of these things? And
yeah, you're right.
I mean, I'm really glad we did.
Mm-hmm.
It did change how I felt about treatment and that kind of stuff. Didn't change the course of treatment necessarily.
No. And with biopsies, you guys all know some of them are easy, some of them are really invasive.
Yeah.
Depending on the biopsy you're getting, and you've had everything under the sun as far as biopsies go.
Yes.
But those kind of things, I know a lot of people run into, maybe not a biopsy, but any kind of test where your health insurance gets involved.
Yeah.
And they deny some of these things, or they, in your case, they make you do test A, B to get to C. Or those, when health insurance gets involved and doctors are trying to do everything they can to get the test they know that needs done, but they're jumping through all the hoops because of the insurance industry, which I am not a fan of.
Yeah.
Just that can be...
But it's, when it's a truer result, like when with these biopsies that I had done, like it really did dictate that we didn't need to change treatment, didn't need to do something different. It's,
because they're 100% definitive. I mean,
yes,
it's got eyes on. And,
yeah, we were able to.
Everything else, I mean, the scan, obviously you guys, the bone scans or MRIs even, when that's followed by a biopsy, oftentimes it's not what the scan and maybe not off topic, I don't know, but I think that's where we're heading with AI being involved in reading scans and reading results. Is they're using the results, the AI is being loaded with the results from all over the world. Everybody who's a part of this, That's why it's going to be just much more accurate. And I think it's going to, save money. We aren't going to run tests that aren't needed because the AI is, in a lot of cases, going to already know what the test needed to give the result needed.
Yeah.
And then the true human nature of reading a scan or reading one of those, I think that's just going to maybe not go away, but almost go away. That's just going to be better. Not that I think with everything with AI is going to be better, but I'm excited for that, and I'm excited for a lot of the medical growth that happens in the next decade with AI and what can happen with it.
Well, the other thing that's exciting to me about that is, and I've talked with some people about this, but like the limiting your exposure, right, to radiation, all those kind of things. I went toe to toe with my insurance company and was able to kind of present a case of like, unless you can show me what you are exposing me to, that you're monitoring this, I can't do 3 tests every time the first one goes bad. You know, like I want to be here for a long time, and that my insurance company did say, okay, you know, but I know that's not the norm for many people.
It is not.
So just overall exposure to radiation through these tests, and, you know, the thought of AI being more accurate and limiting that would be a better thing for all of us. So.
We're not there yet, but
also,
I mean,
and maybe even it being able to really guide, no, bone scans are not the test for that person.
Well, we're going to have data that shows that
exactly.
now. Where now there is data, but it's not worldwide data from everywhere around.
Right.
Loaded over the last 20 years into this computer that can handle it. It's not definitive still, but boy, it's close.
Well, it's interesting too when you think about like gold standard kind of thing. It's like, wait a second, why are we not doing gold standard when it ends up having to get there every time? You know, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Their whole data shows it saves us money.
Saves us money.
And it does the opposite.
Yeah.
Oh, it's painful.
All right. We're not going to get off on that
tonight.
Okay. So, anyway, there's some tips. Make the most of your appointments. Think about them as what works for me, and not just, this isn't about your doctor. It's about you. Mm-hmm. And actually, they want your appointments to go as well as possible also.
And this is to keep you healthy. Not a negative thing. It's a positive thing. Even bad results can be positive.
Yeah. Good things can come. So.
Right.
All right. We'll see you next time.
That's it.
Thanks so much for watching and being a part of our community. It means the world to us. Our goal is always to help as many people as possible live well with cancer. You can help us by subscribing to our channel and sharing episodes when you hear of others that could benefit from it. We really appreciate your time spent with us and your commitment to offering hope and inspiration to others.